Beyond the Ballot coverage continues this week with a look at Louisiana's newest congressional district. The 6th district was reworked to more accurately reflect the state's population. Although voters will elect a candidate this election cycle, the district's map is still tied up in litigation. For the first time since the 90s, Louisiana now has 2 majority black congressional districts, and soon voters will pick their newest representative.
It's important that we see representation that looks like us in those seats. And we look at an institution that has sometimes provided barriers to getting that representation that looks like us. This is a really positive thing for this state and for my community, because it means that opportunities for people that look like me open up, and that's always positive.
In 2020, state lawmakers redrew Louisiana's congressional maps, keeping just one majority-minority district, even though the census found that black people make up about 1/3 of the state's population. A group of black voters and civil rights groups then sued, arguing the map violated Section 2 of the Federal Voting Rights Act. They say data proved Louisiana needs 2 majority black congressional districts, giving black voters a chance to elect candidates of their choice. Lawmakers ultimately gave in, creating the 2nd majority black district. Former Baton Rouge NAACP President Eugene Collins says the new map was a much-needed step in the right direction.
When you look at the fight for equity, right, in our community, there's a lot of times we don't talk about equity, right? Talk about equality, but to really achieve true equity, certain populations in this country, whether you believe it or not, have been systemically oppressed since they arrived on the banks. So when you look at that, we need leaders on levels that look like us, that know exactly what's best for our community and what's best in the unique barriers that sometimes our community face.
The new map shifts the demographics of the 6th district from a white Republican district based in South Baton Rouge and surrounding areas to a mostly black district from North Baton Rouge, also touching parts of Lafayette, Alexandria, Natchitoches, and Shreveport. However, the map might not last beyond this election cycle. The state is currently facing litigation due to other groups who say the new map violates the 14th Amendment. They argue that the district amounts to an unconstitutional racial gerrymander. Attorney Victoria Wegner from the Legal Defense Fund says their fate lies in the hands of the U.S. Supreme Court, but she's hopeful that they'll find a middle ground that is both equitable and fair for both parties.
Waiting to see if the Supreme Court is going to take up jurisdiction over this Louisiana matter to truly, not just for the state of Louisiana, but more for the nation broadly, decide what this balance is between the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment, which prohibits racial discrimination, as well as balancing it with Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which is also geared at prohibiting racial discrimination, but also provides a framework that does require legislatures to consider race to advance principles of equity and fair representation for a minority group here in Louisiana.
In the meantime, she's grateful for their current victory and believes all of their hard work did not go unnoticed.
For the purposes of voters going to the polls this year, what we have is a map with 2 majority black districts, a map that we believe complies with the Voting Rights Act and finally honors the spirit of fair representation for black Louisianians and truly for all voters in the state that believe in those principles of fair representation.